Did people worship God before Israel? This question might seem surprising to many, but it opens a fascinating window into the ancient world and its spiritual practices. Most people think the worship of Yahweh began with the nation of Israel during the time of the Exodus. This is a common belief rooted in the dramatic stories of Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt. With Moses and the commandments at Mount Sinai, this moment is often seen as the birth of Yahweh worship, a pivotal event in the history of the Israelites. But here's where it gets interesting. The worship of God actually started long before Israel was even a thing. The roots of this worship stretch back into the mists of time, far beyond the Exodus. Never heard of Melchizedek? He's a fascinating figure who appears in the Bible as both a king and a priest. His story is a tantalizing hint at the ancient worship practices that predate Israel. The king of Salem and priest of God during Abraham's time. Melchizedek's encounter with Abraham is a significant event, showing that the worship of God was already established in other cultures. He's a prime example that there were people worshiping God way before the Israelites. This suggests a broader and more ancient tradition of monotheistic worship. Now think about Noah and his sons. The story of Noah is one of the oldest in the Bible, and it carries profound implications for the history of worship. They survived the flood and lived for a long time afterward. Imagine the impact of such a cataclysmic event on their faith and their understanding of God. Imagine the stories they passed down about God and his deeds. These oral traditions would have been powerful tools for preserving and transmitting their beliefs. With free choice, some folks from the Babel diaspora likely continue to worship God, passing their beliefs to their descendants. Here's another clue. The dispersion of people from Babel would have spread these early monotheistic beliefs far and wide. Abraham, after Sarah's death, married Keturah and had several sons: Zimran, Yokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shuah. These names might not be as well known as Isaac and Ishmael, but they are crucial to our story. These boys were raised with Abraham's beliefs. Abraham, a central figure in the Bible, would have instilled his faith in all his children, not just the ones we hear about most often. It's logical they followed God and shared this with their descendants. The faith of Abraham would have been a powerful legacy, shaping the spiritual lives of his many descendants. We know at least one of them did. Jethro, a Midianite, was a priest of God. This is a clear indication that the worship of God was not confined to the Israelites. Jethro's role as a priest shows that the knowledge and worship of God were more widespread than we might think. It's a reminder that God's presence and influence were felt far beyond the borders of Israel. This tells us God ensured he had witnesses to his creation, even if they weren't Israelites. The existence of these non-Israelite worshippers is a testament to the universality of God's message. Jethro, a Midianite, was a priest of God. His story is a powerful reminder that the worship of God transcended national and ethnic boundaries. This tells us God ensured he had witnesses to his creation, even if they weren't Israelites. The presence of these witnesses in various cultures highlights the widespread nature of early monotheistic worship. God doesn't leave his creation without testimony to him. Throughout history, there have always been those who recognized and worshiped the one true God. So next time someone says the worship of Yahweh started with Israel, you now know there's a whole lot more to the story. The history of God's worship is rich and complex, stretching back to the dawn of human civilization.